Rule 11 is, don't bother children when they're skateboarding. And that's a meditation on the difference between weakness and goodness. You see, one of the things that's happened in our society, and especially with regards to our attitude towards men, but also our attitude towards the masculinity in women, so it's just as toxic for women, is that we seem to have concluded that strong men are dangerous, and that's partly because we think Western culture is a tyrannical patriarchy, and the only reason you get to the top is because you misuse power. And everything about that is pathological and inexcusable and shameful. I mean, first, the claim that Western culture... Like, how many civilized countries are there in the world? 3 dozen? The rest of them are run by brutal thugs. Right? And it isn't just thugs at the top, man, because that isn't how it works. In a country that's corrupt, the corruption is spread through the entire country. So, and we're not like that, and that's that. I mean, Western culture is fundamentally honest, and so partly chapter 11 is a call to encouragement. It's like, you want, and I've been telling young men in particular, but young women as well, though they don't seem to be quite as in need of the message, to adopt responsibility for their life, to tell the truth, and to understand that their failure to participate fully in being leaves a hole that's precisely the size of their soul in the cultural landscape. It's no joke, but that's what chapter 11 is about. And it's about people who are the enemy of the human spirit, the people who restrict children's play, for example, which is a particularly pathological thing to do. There's a movement now to not let children have best friends. It's like, really? What the hell, man? That's so... There are so many things wrong with that idea that would take another lecture just to scrape the surface. But mostly it's just... Well, I would not even start on that.
Well, this title of Don't Bother Children While They're Skateboarding is a little ironic, because you would think that he's going to be speaking about children, whereas really he spends most of his time speaking about seniors, the people, the leaders, the older people who have built the society, and particularly spend some time defending the attributes of Western society, the culture of Western society, and denigrating other societies that are run by thugs, as he puts it. And so he spends quite a bit of time, and he's right on. There is a problem among certain segments of our population that disparage our immediate past and feel that we're living in a patriarchy that's oppressive and unfair to many groups within it. And he rants against that. And I agree with him. My problem is, what's his practical advice how to get out of that? You don't often encounter children skateboarding that's going to solve the problem. So how can we actively do something to change the way we feel? And you have to do something that changes your subconscious, because you're sort of living in this culture and this attitude all around you that society is no good, society is to be fixed, etc., and which is not true. But how do you remind yourself to think differently? And so I have a very practical suggestion from Jewish teachings. There is an instruction in the Torah to rise up before your elders and to beautify those of very old age, to honor those that are older than us, starting from the age of 60 or 70, as long as they're an upstanding citizen, they're not a crook or a criminal or a drunk. I'm not talking about the dregs of society, but anybody who's a civilized person who's reached that age is to be considered a leader, is to be considered almost like a sage, like a wise man, because they have the benefit of their years of experience. And so, to remind ourselves about this, we stand up when we're in their presence. That is, when you're sitting and an older person walks into the room, you rise. You rise to show them honor, that they're someone of that age. And you can sit down, but That simple act reminds you to appreciate the wisdom of years. And you need that reminder because, as I said, you're living in a society that has forgotten that. When I was a kid, everybody knew this. When we were riding on the streetcars or the buses, and we were sitting down, coming home from school or whatever, and an adult, any adult, not 60 or 70, but for us kids, any adult, 30 years older or something, when they came in, we got out of our seat. We offered them our seat. If there's still a seat available, then we sat down. But you don't sit while an adult's standing. It was not allowed. We seem to have lost that attitude among children. As a matter of interest, I would trace it back to John F. Kennedy, who was the youngest president ever elected. And when he did get elected, there was a sea change in mental attitude, and that same thing has continued through the day, that we are more youth-oriented society than senior. Before him, everybody respected someone of an advanced age, and after that, because he was the president, and I'm not arguing, they should show respect to the president. I mean, the president's like a king. You have to show respect to a king, to a leader too, and since he's young, but that had an influence. Look, we do live in a society that's ever changing, especially the rapid pace in computer technology is changing so many things so fast, and the young people are more adept at keeping up with it. So there's good reason to listen to the youth, and they have what to tell us. They're much more agile on their feet in that respect. But the seniors are much more knowledgeable about the human experience, the human spirit, which was what Jordan Peterson was talking about. Don't lose respect for that, because people do not change. The nature of humanity does not change. The technical paraphernalia around them, that changes, granted. But you still have to put on your pants one leg at a time. That's always going to be the case. And that speaks to all kinds of experiences of the human spirit. And people of advanced age have more of those experiences and are more wise in their advice on these issues. I'll give you one example. People of advanced age are much more accommodating to others. They understand that you don't have to fight with everybody you meet. You can accommodate, you can let the other guy live your life and let the other guy live his life. That's a so valuable piece of advice. You can't change the world. That's going to take a long time. But personally, how you feel about things, you can help yourself when you start respecting seniors and recognize the wisdom and accomplishments of the human spirit that preceded you. Then you'll be much better able to build on that and create your own wisdom that eventually you'll be able to share again with the next generations coming up behind you. Stand up for those of advanced age. Remind yourself about the quality of the human spirit and the human experience.